Your support helps us bring you programs you love. Go to wyomingpbs.org, click on Support, and become a sustaining member or an annual member. It's easy and secure. Thank you.
The Honor Dog program at the Wyoming Department of Corrections Honor Farm in Riverton is a partnership with the PAWS for Life Animal League, which allows inmates the opportunity, with supervision, to prepare dogs for adoption after completing an American Kennel Club's obedience course. The program, we'll learn, is not just for the dogs, and it was recognized by country music star Miranda Lambert's Mutt Nation Foundation. Honor Dogs, next on Wyoming Chronicle.
Good morning, I'm Pamela Canham, and I am on the Board of Directors for PAWS for Life Animal League, and we are located here in Riverton, Wyoming. We are at the Honor Farm today, and we are going to be, oh Jack, bless your little heart, talking about our Honor Dog program. About 12 years ago, I watched the Animal Planet series, Cell Dogs, and realized that we had a shelter, we had an honor farm, we needed a program. We got together with the staff at the Honor Farm and mapped out a program that would enable 4 of our dogs to be matched with 4 inmate handlers here at the Honor Farm to learn basic obedience, canine good citizenship, and some agility training. They would also be crate trained, potty trained, leash trained, you name it. The program was originally a cell dog program. One of the inmates came to Gary Clentz, who heads the program up here at the Honor Farm, and suggested that maybe calling it an honor dog program would be a little better than a cell dog program due to the connotation. We thought it was a brilliant idea. It became the Honor Dog program, and it has been such an amazing benefit for both the shelter and the inmates. There are no losers in this. The animal shelter provides everything for the program: the food, the leashes, the bowls, the crates, the vet care, and the inmates here provide the constant companionship and training and love that a lot of these guys need to get over some of the challenges that they have when they come to us.
Hi, I'm Gina Gladman. I'm the shelter manager for PAWS for Life. And after we started the program, Gary Clentz and I work together. I kind of get an idea of who we would like to send. I give him several alternates, and then he picks the 4 that he wants to choose. The way we choose it is we take the dogs that are the hardest to adopt. They're not leash trained, they jump on you, they nip because they're excited, which is some of your working dog breeds. You know, the first thing they do is nip at your heels or want to bite your fingers. And then he comes and makes his 4 choices. We make sure they get their spayed and neutered. They get their microchip just in case, you never know, if one of them gets loose or is running loose, we have our microchip implanted so that they can, once they catch up to them, if there's any question, of course, there's identification on record. So we are an open shelter. We're an animal shelter. We're not a rescue. So we get in everything: abused dogs, stray dogs, abandoned dogs. And so we have a lot to work with at our shelter. Jack here was actually rescued from the reservation. He was very abused by his owner. Had some fears, some phobias, especially of men. And so we selected him to come out and just, the guys are so wonderful with them. They work with them, they handle them, they do the body sensitivity with them, where they stroke their tails, play with their ears, play with their gums, their teeth. So they can be adopted safely with children, because toddlers, you know, as much as you teach respecting your animal, you know, they like to play with the animals, and they like to crawl on them or lay by them, and so they really work with the body sensitivity that would make them hard to adopt. So we pick the 4, we bring them out, and the inmates are always excited. It's so excited to see. But the one thing I wanted to mention was after the first group had graduated, one of the inmates, actually 2 of the inmates, came up to me and they're like, you know what, it's amazing to me how much these dogs like you. And so a lot of people think that animal shelters are, you're going to the pound, they're going to treat you awful, and they don't realize is that in March I've invested 10 years of my life working at an animal shelter. I started out as a kennel tech. I worked with the dogs and the cats and cleaning kennels, and then I had the opportunity to move up as a manager. And we love these animals. We do everything we can to adopt them out. They stay between 5 and 8 weeks. Some of them, we call them our if I remember Gary, he said the no dog left behind. So sometimes, some of the groups are ready to graduate within a month. And then some take a little bit longer, 6, 7 weeks, because they just have a lot more hurdles emotionally and that they have to get over. And so between 5 and 8 weeks, usually about 6 to 7 is the standard. So then I come pick them up. Usually we have the next batch waiting in the van for them. So, and it just works. I love the program.
Hi, my name is Jed. This is my dog Punky, and this is my 10th dog to come through the program.
My name is Jeremy. This is my 2nd dog, Trixie.
My name's Brett. This is my 5th dog, Molly.
So what happens when you guys first get a dog? What happens, and what types of dogs are they when you first get them?
Well, they're all types of dogs. They're a mixed breed. We don't get any really purebreds out here.
Yeah. Are they more? You get more difficult dogs that are maybe a little tougher to train?
Yeah, so we get the dogs that most people don't want to adopt.
Mm-hmm. Why did you guys want to participate in this program? And I'll ask each of you. Go ahead.
For me, it benefits me more because I get to learn to care more about myself and about others as also. Yeah. Before, I never really cared much.
Why did you want to participate in the dog program?
It definitely teaches me patience, more patience than I've had maybe on the streets, and just something to care about, besides myself.
Yeah. Have you ever had a dog that's just really difficult to train?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Consistency. A lot of consistency and fairness, not just with yourself, but with the dog as well.
How long does it take you to train a dog?
I guess it depends. It varies on dog to dog. It depends on what the dog's been through, what you've been through. Different tactics work on different dogs. So, roughly a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Few weeks, yeah.
What do the other inmates think of the program?
They like it. They like to be able to come up and pet the animals and intermingle with them. And they like seeing them. It gives them a little sense of freedom, kind of.
Now, are you responsible for the dogs just for a small part of the day, or is it 24/7?
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Every day. Got to feed,
water, bathe,
bath,
the whole thing.
Bathroom all the time.
Mm-hmm. What's the toughest part of this for you? What is hard?
Working with the troubled dogs that need a lot of attention, a lot of care. It teaches you patience, and you gotta be consistent. Like before, I didn't have much patience with dogs or anything. So, big thing I'm learning about myself is to care more and to learn patience.
You guys have dogs when you were younger?
Yes.
Yeah, all of you? Yeah.
I've had all hunting dogs.
Okay, your approach to dogs now very different. How did you learn how to train the dogs? What did you have to do?
Mr. Clintz told us
we go through a course which is 10 classes, 10 tests, and it goes over dog psychology, dog CPR, the maintenance and care of a dog, the proper bathing of a dog, food, nutrition. So we get to learn a whole group of things.
A lot of what you learned surprise you on the what's involved in really caring for a dog?
Yep. You'd be surprised how close a dog is to a human, actually, with a lot of aspects, how they act, everything, from medical care to even playfulness as kids, Yeah, it's pretty surprising.
At the end of your time with the dogs, I can't imagine it's easy to let the dogs go.
That's the hardest part for me.
It is. You got to learn not to get too attached to the dogs.
It's not your dog.
we got to realize that this isn't our dog. This dog's going out to another family. So we can't teach you the bad habits like we'd want for our own personal dog. If that makes any sense to you.
It does. It sure does. Do you are you kept in the loop on what happens to your dogs once they leave? Do you know where they go and what's going on?
We get to know that they're adopted out. That's about it, because it's a security issue, really, if they let us know all the info of where the dogs go.
Sure.
So we get to know that they're adopted out.
So what do you do with your dogs when you're busy doing yard work?
They get kenneled up in our houses.
Or we have assistants.
We got two alternate handlers. We have two alternate handlers that take care of the dogs as well. Like if we're busy or whatever, they take the dogs out to the bathroom, feed and water them, if that's the case. That's what they do.
So will you guys have dogs later in your lives, do you think?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
What kind of dogs would you want?
I'm more partial to hunting dogs, working dogs.
Yeah?
I'm just any kind of dog.
Yeah?
Yep, any loving, caring dog.
I'm gonna get a couple Italian Mastiffs, Cane Corsos.
What do you like about them?
They're big and mellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do dogs ever get into it with each other? Have you guys had trouble with that?
From time to time, yes.
Yeah. And how do you deal with that when that happens?
You really have to watch over the dog. You watch for signs of aggression. Like when two dogs first meet, if they're both tensing up on like their tiptoes, that means they're trying to show who's going to be dominant and who's not. And when both are tensing up, more than likely a fight's going to break out.
Or their hair on their backs will stand up.
And if dog's going to be dominant, it'll immediately look away or cower down, like, okay, you're dominant, I'm not. And there won't be a fight.
Is there an age of dog that's better for you to train? Do you like them when they're pups or when they're a little older?
He's got the puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's about 7 months old. I think I like the puppy better. I mean, because they haven't went through anything yet, dramatic that affects their lives later on. So I definitely think it's more of a challenge at the beginning, but later on it works up to it. It's easier.
Have you had dogs where you've noticed that what they've been through in their lives just makes it really tough?
Yeah.
How do you overcome that?
Patience, man. It's just
patience.
I mean,
we get a lot of dogs that come with baggage, and that type of baggage we don't know. They could be aggressive dogs, troubled dogs just won't listen. So we have to learn to combat that and deal with it. And it's basically just patience, time, and consistency.
You guys helping the dogs out more than they're helping you, or are they helping you out?
I think it's a benefit of both. We're helping the dogs, and the dogs are helping us. Because out of each dog, I've learned something about myself. Out of each dog that I've graduated.
I feel it's definitely us. It's them helping us out more. I mean, we're just teaching them tricks. They're teaching us how to deal and cope with things that we've been through. So.
Gary Klentz is the Building Grounds and Maintenance Supervisor here at the Wyoming Honor Farm, and Gary is also responsible for the Honor Dog program. Gary, tell us about the program. What is your goal for not only the inmates but also for the dogs and the program in general?
Well, let's start with our inmates and how we select them. They go through an interview process. They have to apply for the job just like you would apply for a job out in the outside world. And when we get done the interviewing, then we make our selection. But after that, they still don't get to handle the dogs. Our dog handlers go through 10 classes, which average about an hour apiece for the classes, and they have to maintain an 80% testing average. And most of our guys average 90 plus all the time on their test because they take it very seriously. Then after they're done with the test, they become an alternate dog handler. But I also expect my alternates to handle our dogs just as much as the dog handlers. The only thing that they don't do is keep them in their room. So after they're done with their training, then they start working with training the dogs, learning how to train the dogs for the AKC novice testing. I have one handler that has been with me probably quite a while, actually. I just lost one that got transferred to another facility that had started from day one when we started the program out here. And he was very good with the dogs, and I hated to see him leave our program. Then after we get done with the training with the inmates, we start working basically with the dogs so that they can learn heel on leash, sit every time you stop, How do they get their dogs to do that? We try and train the handlers so that they can learn how to train the dogs. And then part of their testing, we also go through how do they handle the dog during the testing? How do you get your dog to do it better in the testing? They also have to heel off leash, and that's probably their biggest problem, is heeling off leash, because these dogs come with so much luggage and have had so much free running that they have a tough time getting them through it.
How many dogs have you ran through the program?
Currently, this will be our 48th dog going through the program. We're about to hit our 50th on our next dog batch that we have. We usually have 4 dogs out here at a time. So I'm pretty excited about our 50th dog to go through the program. And when we first started the program, some of the people were concerned about the dogs being abused. Well, we have 250 pairs of eyes watching these handlers and how they handle the dogs. And they will tell me if the dogs are being mistreated in any way.
I should point out that the PAWS shelter is a no-kill shelter. So it's really important, the work that you do for people who are interested in adopting dogs.
Correct. What we end up getting is the dogs that are not readily adoptable. They're not cute puppies. They come with a little bit of luggage. They're not the cutest dog in there. But when we get done with the dogs, I'm very proud of the fact that the dogs will heel on leash, off leash, will come when you call them, and they'll sit for a minute with the handler away from the dogs.
Now, every Wyoming Department of Corrections facility has a dog program.
Correct.
What are the differences in the different programs?
I don't know. Well, the one in Newcastle, they take the dogs and train them to be service dogs. So if they have a handicapped person that needs to know when the doorbell rings, or needs the light switch turned on, or needs to have something picked up off the floor, that's what they train their dogs up there for. So their program is a little more intense because they're not so worried about AKC novice testing for the dogs.
Do you have a sense on how the dogs have fared once they've left here? They have to adjust. They've had the inmate with being their handler 24/7, and now they're in a new family. Has it worked out?
As far as I know, and what we've found when we got our first batch of dogs, that the dogs hooked up to the guys so badly that they wouldn't work for other handlers. So now I make the guys have slumber parties with their dogs, and they switch the dogs overnight, over the weekend or something, so the dog gets used to being commanded by somebody else besides the original handler.
But with the standardization of training, the commands are the same.
Correct.
And that must make a big difference. Really no cost to the institution for providing this program, is that correct?
No, other than the inmate wages, that's it. All the facility needs for the dogs, the leashes, the bowls, the crates, is all provided by PAWS. What I'd like everyone to know is when the dogs come out of here, you've got a very nice trained dog. Yeah, they might need a little more polishing, but for some kid that's going to be competing in 4-H or wants to get into the 4-H dog program, they're going to do very well with the dog coming out of our program, I think.
How do people take advantage of dogs that you've trained? How do they take advantage of that? Is that through PAWS?
Correct. They have to go through PAWS, and what Gina does is usually tells them that this dog's out at the Honor Farm being trained now, and we pretty much, within 6 weeks, we graduate the dogs, and then the new owners can pick up their dog that evening. So it works out very well. And then we take the new dogs, and they have them over the weekend, and so we ask the inmates keep their dogs, and nobody else handles them but the inmates, the dog handlers themselves, for the first 48 hours, so that the dogs bond with the handlers.
I'm Mike Pacheco. I'm the warden here at the Wyoming Honor Farm. A little bit about the dog program, the Honor Dog program. It's in a partnership with the PAWS program here in Riverton. It's good for the institution. It's a win-win for the dogs, for PAWS, and for the institution. It's another tool we use in order to return the inmates back to society better than we got them. It's also a tool for PAWS to make sure those dogs get adopted. It's one of the many interventions we use here at the institution. Just as we have a horse program and a cattle program, we have the dog program. Dog program operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Partnership's been with PAWS for about 18 months. It's kicked off to a good start. We hope this extends. We need this. The reason we need this is some of these inmates just haven't had anything to care for in their life. This fills that void that teaches the dogs at that time and provides us another way to intervene in their life, if you will, to give them the tools they need upon return back to society. For the institution as a whole, we get to give back to the community. Not only do we take and are we part of the community, but how do we give back? We're assisting that program in what it does on a daily basis. It's a good partnership with Pamela and Gina. They come and see us regularly. Mr. Klentz has stepped above and beyond with the inmates, with the dogs, and the daily activity that we do here. So I encourage this, I want this program, and it is beneficial to everybody involved at this time.
How did it evolve here? There are dog programs that have been, that are in existence at other Wyoming Department of Corrections facilities. How did it evolve, and how is this program a little different?
Yes, sir. About 2 years ago, we really approached Pamela and said, how can we make this happen? In August of 2014, we stepped off. But instead of adopting somebody else's program, is what we did is looked at the needs of PAWS, looks at the needs of the institution, and what's best for the dogs. In that, we have massaged it and made it work. It works what works for us. So we didn't go and adopt another program and say, make this work. What we did is massaged it and made it ours over the last 18 months.
Literally, are there any downsides to the program? Are there some hurdles there that are somewhat tough to work through for you?
It is. We're still a minimum correctional facility. And these dogs require attention 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So somebody has to be responsible. Some things you don't think about. The dog has to go outside at 2 in the morning at times to go relieve himself. You've got to, how do you make that happen when all the inmates and everybody are locked up? So I don't want to say problems. It's hurdles that we've had to overcome, but we do that because it's that important for all parties involved.
So this program has had 48 dogs come through the program. Not every inmate gets to participate. Does that cause issues too, or how do you integrate the entire facility into the program? As I said earlier,
this is one tool that we have. So first of all, not every inmate wants to participate, but we have other things that we can do with a horse program, with a beef program. There's other things that we do that keep this facility running. So yes, we screen the inmates coming in just as we screen the dogs, but there is no shortage of individuals that want to be dog trainers at this institution. This requires assistance from security, from non-uniform staff. It takes everybody to make this program happen. I'm just appreciative that Gary has taken the lead, taken on the responsibility and said, I want to make this mine. And he's done us a wonderful job. But everybody supports Gary and the institution in doing that.
There are programs nationwide that do similar types of things with inmates and dogs. You like to do evidence-based programs here at the Wyoming Honor Farm and the Wyoming Department of Corrections. What does the evidence show for programs like this and the effect that it has on inmates, not only while they're incarcerated, but afterwards too?
First, as an agency, we do evidence-based practices. What we can show is this. The interventions we're doing as an agency, we're number 2 in the nation with recidivism. We're about 23-24% return rate, which is incredible. But this is just another tool. I like to explain it as we have a wheel with a whole bunch of spokes. This is just another spoke that it takes to make sure that wheel goes around. Nothing is more important than the other, but it takes everybody and everything to make this kind of thing happen.
So talk about the inmates today relative to other responsibilities that they have here at the Wyoming Honor Farm. They have more responsibilities here than other inmates maybe at other facilities. How do they integrate the process of being required to handle the dog with their other requirements here?
Just as we talked about earlier, the dog has an orientation program and day 1 begins this way, and this is what we begin with. Our inmates are much the same way. They begin with a 2-week orientation program. What's required here? First, every inmate has to have a job. Every inmate has to program. They get a case plan that says, here's what's required of them. They've got to comply with that. Third thing is they got to stay out of trouble. In doing this, the inmate begins at the beginning. As I told you, our average length of stay is just over 9 months. They learn and pass this on as they go through because they know they're leaving. Their normal day consists of getting up, count at 6:30 in the morning. They're at breakfast at 7 a.m. They go to work at 8 a.m. From 8 to 11, they're at work. They come back, they count. They eat lunch at 12 o'clock. They're back at work at 1 p.m. They work till 4 p.m. We do count at 4:30 and do meals. And during this whole time, not only is it about work, it's about programming. And as we talked earlier, this dog program is actually a second job because Clint's oversees the yard crew. So he's managed to put all these things together and work with all our entities, the case management team, the uniformed staff security that watches them all day, making sure the inmates and the dogs and everybody gets fed. Doing all this together is a great big wheel that goes around. It takes a lot of help and assistance from everybody, but because of his dedication and wanting to do this, it just works.
How does the Honor Farm make folks aware that this program is happening? You work with PAWS. Is PAWS the primary entity that really kind of drives this program on the outside?
Yes, sir. PAWS is the avenue which we do this. About 50 to 75% of the dogs are adopted as soon as upon graduation. But because this is out and PAWS is doing this now, it's advertised through them and it works and it's beneficial. So we actually have a line. I mean, if a dog graduates today, there's somebody coming in tomorrow and there'll be somebody behind him that wants to adopt.
And this is not just for people that live in Fremont County. It can be all over the state of Wyoming that can take advantage of this through the PAWS program. Is that correct?
That is correct. This isn't just Fremont County. It's not just Wyoming. As a matter of fact, we have a dog that's going to graduate here shortly that's going to end up in Idaho. So what we're doing is touching bases nationwide.